Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Unwoke Thoughts. We got a big show for you today. Big show. Lots to talk about. Kamala Harris and her campaign are beginning to realize that in order to have any shot at winning the election, that she has to start doing interviews. But it seems like they have found themselves in somewhat of a catch-22 situation because she has started doing more interviews, but all of which have turned out disastrous for the campaign. We've seen them all. Oprah, all of these. And, you watch this lady interacting with people, and it is really hard to understand why they chose her to be the figurehead of the Democrat Party. I mean, I get it. Many politicians are unrelatable, but most of them are at least fairly decent at pretending that they are relatable. Not Kamala, though. When Kamala has any type of unscripted interaction, human or otherwise, every part of her body language screams discomfort, which makes her come off untrustworthy and just look like a bad actor. But we're going to talk about that. She, of course, went on Colbert where she had a beer. Yes, very relatable. She sipped a beer. And also, she seemed to adopt an Irish accent at one point. But before her Colbert interview, she went on 60 Minutes with Bill Whitaker, where 60 Minutes afterward was actually caught editing one of her answers to make her look better. And it was not just a small edit. No, it was not just like, these edits that you see where they edit out like the silent gaps to make it look like your sentence was flowing a little bit better. No, they edited out one of her word salad responses and replaced it with something that sounded a lot more clear and concise. But, of course, what else is new? The media, they manipulate for the regime. We all knew this, but it is starting to get a little bit more blatant as they grow more desperate. That's what it seems to me, at least. But we're going to talk about that. And also, Elon Musk went on Tucker Carlson, where he dropped a lot of bombs. For instance, it was a good one. This was a good interview on Tucker. He said that if Trump does not win, he believes he would go to prison. And also he said if Democrats win, this would be the last election, simply because of the sheer number of illegal immigrants filling the country. But the wildest one of all, probably, is when he said that many prominent people are terrified of a Trump victory because the Epstein client list would be unsealed. He even called out a couple people by name. Senator Josh Hawley has come forward with another whistleblower who says that government auditors are being denied access to certain Trump events to hide his protection level. Because remember, they said that Trump had the same protection as, say, Joe Biden. I mean, I think that Donald Trump should have a larger protection detail than Joe Biden. Because I don't know about you, I just cannot fathom anybody really caring about Joe Biden at this point. I mean, really, I think about Joe Biden maybe every other day when I realize, oh, wait, Biden is, in fact, the president, I guess, But does anybody really wish Joe Biden harm? Maybe. But when you think about it in comparison to the people that wish Donald Trump harm, I think Donald Trump, the people that wish him harm, pose him a much greater threat. And also, one thing that really struck me when I listened to this Elon Musk interview, it's kind of like he said that, people want to take out Donald Trump. He's like, you don't see anybody trying to take out, Kamala or Biden. He said, there's a reason for that. And it was very true. I've thought about this before, but maybe not exactly how he, I guess, articulated it. But it's that Kamala, Biden, they are just, they're figureheads, right? We say this. If you take out one of them, they're just the face of the regime at that moment. I mean, no one actually believes that Kamala Harris is running the shots, right? Or calling the shots, rather. So he made that point on Tucker Carlson, but apparently this whistleblower blew the whistle to Josh Hawley. So we're going to look at that report. Polls in Wisconsin. This is pretty exciting, guys, because this is kind of close to home for me. Polls in Wisconsin are showing candidate for U.S. Senate Eric Hovde has a real shot at unseating Senator Tammy Baldwin. Yes, get her out of there. Tammy Baldwin, you're fired. And replacing you is going to be a guy with a pretty cool mustache. He's got the stash. Yes, he's got the Riz stash. Eric Hovde, like the guy. He seems pretty cool. North Carolina Board of Elections has unanimously approved a resolution to modify voting locations for all 13 counties affected by Hurricane Helene. I know this sounds a little bit like kind of iffy to people when we talk about, modifying voting locations and all these other things. But in this case, I believe that this is necessary because why? Well, we've got to do something about these areas affected by the hurricanes. And this is actually something that's been pushed by the right for ever since, I guess, the hurricane hit, right? Voting is definitely going to be affected. To what degree? It depends on how quickly we can act to ensure that these people that are affected by the hurricane can vote. It's very important. Videos, speaking of the hurricane, videos are being shared on Twitter of Blackhawk helicopters allegedly destroying Hurricane Helene donation sites. Now, first of all, I don't know where these videos are coming from. I have one example for you guys. There's been like 2 or 3 I've seen. I haven't really been able to confirm where these videos were filmed. They've just been shared a few times by a couple prominent, accounts on X. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think about them. You let me know. Let me know if you've seen more than what I show you here. Here's some good news. Sticker Mule CEO has won his case, and a New York judge, has ruled that he can light up his giant vote for Trump sign. Yes. Stick it to that mayor. Shoot, I forgot the town he's in, but I remember it was the mayor, I believe, that filed a lawsuit against him because of his vote for Trump sign. And I showed this to you the other day. It's a very tastefully done sign. It's not like super like giant and, it's not an eyesore. It's not all colorful. It's a very well done sign. It's on the top of this building that he bought that was like this manufacturing building. And it kind of went with, I said at the time, the feng shui of the building. It looked like it was supposed to be there, except, of course, it said vote for Trump. And that triggered the mayor of that town. So he filed a lawsuit trying to get him to take it down. But he won. Sticker Mule CEO won. So that's good news. But finally, last thing we're going to talk about, non-citizen migrant workers are being sent pro-Kamala mailers encouraging them to vote. You don't say. It's starting, guys. We are in election season. We are less than 30 days from the election. I just can't believe it. It's going to be crazy. I can't believe we're getting that close, but I can feel it ramping up. I can feel the pressure. And it's just I feel like when all of this is over, I'm not going to even know what to do with myself. I'm going to have to go back to talking about other stuff. I feel like I've been talking about Kamala and Trump for so long. It feels like I've been talking about Kamala and Trump for like years. But Kamala has only been the Democrat nominee for a couple months. It's weird. It feels like a decade since Joe Biden was, the presumptive nominee. Remember when that was going on? But before we get into the show, leave a like on this video and also comment down below. Let me know what you think of the show. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you despise it? Yeah, there's no one out there that despises it, right? Is there? I don't know. But if you do enjoy the show, consider subscribing. If you hate the show, you need to subscribe even more. But also, guys, don't forget to go to mypillow.com, and you guys know the promo code UNWOKE. I got the best promo code. You get the best deals, up to 80% off with my promo code UNWOKE. I mean, that's just unheard of. I've told this story many times. I sat down across the table from Mike Lindell in a high-rise boardroom, and I said, Mike, listen, bro. My audience deserves a promo code that gives them up to 80% off. He's like, Andrew, I can't do that. I can't. That's way too much. I said, Mike, listen, bro. I'm walking right now. You don't give me 80% off, up to 80% off from my audience. I'm walking right now. I'm walking out of this door. And you know what he did? He said, all right, Andrew, for your audience and your audience only, I will give you up to 80% off. So, guys, make sure you go to mypillow.com. They still have this awesome deal right here, $14.88 for this pillow. A famous pillow, very comfortable pillow for $14.88. Make sure you go snag yourself one of those before they run out. That's not going to last forever. Probably only a week or so. I guess there was a big box store that canceled all their orders, so they had a back order, $14.88. Go to MyPillow, use promo code UNWOKE. But let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Kamala Harris went on Stephen Colbert. And, I mean, it was... the way that Stephen Colbert opened the segment, I get it. He's a comedian. Okay. But in this heightened threat environment, you know, especially considering the fact that Donald Trump has had 2 assassination attempts that we know of. I think there was another odd thing that happened in Arizona. And honestly, I haven't heard an update on what it was, but there were people that walked off the stage. A very specific side of the stage when Donald Trump spoke in Arizona. They walked off and they had chemical burns in their eyes. It was reported in the news, and I really haven't seen anything more about it. So I'm going to have to look that up, see if I can get an update about that. But the way he opens up this segment is a little bit on the nose, I believe. I get it. He's a comedian. I get it. He thinks he's being funny, but I don't really, you know, I feel like this is a little bit not funny. You know, this is what he said. This is how he opened up the segment. Listen.
Good evening. It has been a tradition here at The Late Show since yesterday that the major party candidates sit down with me for an interview in October. We invited Kamala Harris to be our guest this evening, and she accepted. That interview in a moment. In the interest of fairness, we also invited former President Donald Trump to go himself. He declined our offer.
Okay. All right, Colbert. I mean, all right, buddy. Yeah, we invited Kamala to do the interview. We're about to air that interview. And I thought he was going to say something like, because when I first listened to this, I did not expect him to say that. I thought he was going to say something like, yeah, we also invited Donald Trump, and he didn't. I thought that they're about to like roast him for not accepting their offer to interview him. No, he goes, we invited former President Donald Trump to go F himself. All right. Is that the attitude that I believe that they should have? No. Am I surprised? No. It did kind of take me by surprise because it was a little bit on the nose. It was not that funny. It's only funny to one side, but I get it. That's how it goes. But Kamala Harris, even though, of course, Stephen Colbert wants Kamala Harris to win, even when it's easy, like, or even when they are giving Kamala Harris a softball interview, the interviewer still has to navigate landmines. It's not like a softball interview is a softball interview when it comes to Kamala Harris. Every interview is a hardball interview for Kamala Harris. It just depends on the scale because, like I said, the way she handles herself, her body language, the way she answers, and of course, she talks in circles. She has these word salads. Even with easy questions, she kind of bombs every single time. So even if she has an easy interviewer like Stephen Colbert, who only asks her these types of questions where she should, smack out of the park, these should be like on the tip of her tongue. She should have, concise, to the point answers that says exactly, what she believes and what she's going to do. That doesn't happen that way. And I think this is probably the perfect example, a perfect example. Colbert asked Kamala Harris what change that she would bring. Of course, Kamala Harris, she needs to differentiate herself from the current administration. Why? Well, because she is the current administration and the economy is in shambles. We have a wide open border. We are seeing wars pop up all over the world that we are involved in. Of course, we're funding the proxy war in Ukraine/Russia. And, we have record high inflation. So one of the things that people are asking is, how is Kamala Harris different than the current administration? I mean, it's a pretty obvious answer. The answer is she's not. But that doesn't matter in politics. The matter is perception. So they've been having a really hard time of changing this perception that Kamala Harris is, in fact, a part of this situation that we find ourselves in, today, right? Today in the past several years. So she's been really struggling trying to differentiate herself from the current administration. And it's obvious why, because she is. But she's asked about this. And her answer is pretty interesting. I mean, for her credit, before I play this, to her credit, she's technically correct, all right? She says, well, I'm not Donald Trump and I'm not Joe Biden. Technically, okay. Kamala, you're right on a technicality, but still not a great answer. Listen.
Polling shows that a lot of people, especially independent voters, really want this to be a change election, and that they tend to break for you in terms of thinking about change. You are a member of the president's administration. Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of. But also, I think it's important to say with 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
Wow. Absolutely mind-blowing. Profound. I mean, that was a profound answer. Let's see if she, helps her case here towards the end.
And so when we think about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country. I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people. We have aspirations, we have dreams, we have incredible work ethic, and I just believe that we can create and build upon the success we've achieved in a way that we continue to grow opportunity and in that way grow the strength of our nation.
Ma'am, the question was, how can you differentiate yourself from the current administration? I mean, you guys see what I mean? Like, she's asked this question and she says, well, I'm not Donald Trump and I'm not Biden, okay? Okay, that's technically true. But he didn't ask you that. He said this current administration because you are a part of the current administration. And then she goes into this. It's like she's trying to think, the gears are turning in her head, but they're just not really spitting out anything. So she falls back on this whole short little monologue about how great it is to be an American and we need to look forward and, all these platitudes about, Americans are so amazing. oh, we're just really amazing. Wow, it's really fantastic to be amazing, and we need to make sure that we keep it fantastic for it to be amazing to be an American. It's like she falls back on stuff like that. It's like the lights are on, but nobody's home. She doesn't have like a critical thought. And this is what I mean. Like every part of her, from the way she moves, from her interactions, to her body language, to her words, screams inauthenticity. Wow, that was a really hard word to say. Inauthenticity. Is that a word? That's a word, right? Inauthenticity. Yes, it's got to be. It's got to be. But yeah, it's bad. It looks bad. But she has to go on these interviews because if she doesn't have a chance. You know, she had a moment with Donald Trump at the debate where that was actually arguable. You know, she looked okay at the debate. We'll put it that way. She looked, for a lot of the country, they thought Kamala Harris, quote unquote, won. So they are searching for another moment like that. I don't know what was different about that. She did not look as bad as she has in these one-on-one interviews. Maybe it was because she really got coached and trained for weeks leading up to that debate. I know she was trained in mock interviews by a lawyer from Google, right? Really high-power lawyer from Google. So they're searching for another moment like that, but unfortunately, they aren't finding one. Because with Oprah, that was a massive flop. Colbert, massive flop. Some of these other interviews, I think she did another one on CNN. I forgot. She's done a couple. They haven't really moved the needle per se. But these recent ones, Colbert and 60 Minutes, have been particularly bad. But she also, it's very exciting, guys. Kamala on Colbert. She debuted a new accent. Yes, very exciting. I'm about to show it to you right here. And there's been a little bit of a debate online whether this accent is Jamaican or is it Irish. Now, I posted this on my Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram at unwoke.thoughts. Yes, very good account to follow. But I initially, I think I put on there, Kamala drops an Irish accent. It sounds like an Irish accent. But then I saw somewhere else where someone was arguing that it was actually a Jamaican accent. I don't know. You guys tell me down below in the comments, which one do you think it is? Is it Irish or is it, in fact, Jamaican? I know she claims to have Jamaican blood in her, so maybe it's Jamaican, but it does sound a little bit Irish. Listen.
Have empathy, man.
Yes.
For the suffering of other people. Have no sense of purpose. Have empathy, man.
Yes.
See, I think it's like both, actually. Because when she says man, it sounds Jamaican, but when she says no, it sounds like she's a little Keebler elf. So, I don't know. You guys let me know. Was this a Irish accent? Or was it a Jamaican accent? Or was it both? I have finally settled on my answer. My answer personally is that it's both, but I'm open to being convinced, right? I'm open to being convinced. Last one on Colbert, guys. Kamala Harris, she drank a beer. Yes, very relatable. She drank a beer, and this beer was a Miller High Life. Very, very, very relatable. And even more relatable is how she drank the beer. Let me know, guys, all you beer drinkers out there. Is this how you, or maybe your wife, your girlfriend, is this how they drink from a beer can?
One of the old saws is they just want somebody they can have a beer with.
Uh-huh.
So would you like to have a beer with me so I can tell people what that's like? Okay. Now, we asked ahead of time because I can't just be giving a drink to the Vice President of the United States without asking. You asked for Miller High Life. You asked for Miller High Life. I'm just curious.
Okay, the last time I had beer was at a baseball game with Doug.
Okay. Hold on a second. It sounds like the last time you had beer, well, maybe some sort of alcohol, was like 10 minutes ago, because the way she sounds there, the last time I had beer, she sounds a little, she does. I mean, this is an olive branch to the people that say that she is always drunk. I don't think she's always drunk. I think that's just how she is. She does sound drunk a lot.
At a baseball game with Doug.
Okay, so cheers.
Okay, cheers.
There you go. Ooh. That tastes like the beautiful city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Champagne and beers.
There you go.
The champagne. Is Miller High Life the champagne and beers? I don't really know. It is, isn't it? I don't know. I'm not a beer expert myself. So yeah, Kamala Harris being very relatable, going on Colbert, you know. Did it work? Well, you be the judge. I think we're all human here. We know what a human interaction looks like. I don't know what that was, okay? I can't really describe it to you. You know, a lot of, like I said, politicians, I get it. They're not relatable. They lie. We all know it. But at least a lot of them are good at it. Kamala, not so much. She also went on 60 Minutes. And she was confronted. I say confronted. She was asked. They have to ask some of these questions about why she has flipped on pretty much every single issue. And listen to her answer.
Tell you what your critics and the columnists say.
Okay.
They say that the reason so many voters don't know you is that you have changed your position on so many things. You were against fracking, now you're for it. You supported looser immigration policies, now you're tightening them up. You were for Medicare for all, now you're not. So many that people don't truly know what you believe or what you stand for, and I know you've heard that.
In the last 4 years, I have been Vice President of the United States, and I have been traveling our country, and I have been listening to folks and seeking what is possible in terms of common ground. I believe in building consensus. We are a diverse people, geographically, regionally, in terms of where we are in our backgrounds. And what the American people do want is that we have leaders who can build consensus, where we can figure out compromise and understand it's not a bad thing, as long as you don't compromise your values, to find common sense solutions. And that has been my approach.
The problem is, Kamala, it's not... Your flip-flopping here is not a compromise. You've taken like the 180 position, the 180-degree position from what you said before. So she says it's compromise, but no, it's not. There's no nuance involved in what you all of a sudden decided that you were going to make your platform. Fracking, 180-degree position completely. And the border, 180-degree position completely, 100%. The problem is not that you are looking for consensus and that you've decided all of a sudden. The problem is that that just doesn't happen. Conveniently, when you're trying to win an election, all of a sudden you take the opposite view of everything that you've purported to support in the past. See, that's not trying to form consensus or anything like that. That is simply lying. Lying to try to get votes. Everyone can see it. Also, another absolutely amazing clip here is when Kamala Harris, she claims to own a Glock. Now, I own a Glock. I own a Glock 19. It's actually sitting right here on my desk. I would show it to you, but I don't think YouTube would like that very much. But Kamala Harris, not only does she claim to own a Glock, but she claims that she shoots it as well. I'm not saying she is lying, but I'm just saying that there is a little bit of a question. Listen.
If Fox News alert, Kamala Harris's media blitz is already bombing. 60 Minutes just grilled her on immigration. She had nothing. Watch.
There was an historic flood of undocumented immigrants coming across the border the first 3 years of your administration. Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem. And solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
What I was asking was it a mistake to kind of allow that flood to happen in the first place?
I think the policies that we have been proposing are about fixing a problem, not promoting a problem. Okay?
But the numbers did quadruple.
She had nothing. Then this happened.
You are a gun owner. So what kind of gun do you own, and when and why did you get it?
I have a Glock, and I've had it for quite some time. And I mean, look, Bill, my background is in law enforcement. And so there you go.
Have you ever fired it?
Yes. Of course I have. At a shooting range.
You know, that just reminded me of, I should have brought this into the show, but I don't know if you guys have seen that whole kind of feud that Ron DeSantis and Kamala Harris had. So apparently Ron DeSantis was refusing phone calls from Kamala Harris. This was reported on, I believe it was by CBS or one of these major news outlets. And Kamala Harris was asked about this when she was getting onto Air Force Two. She was asked by a reporter, and she insinuated that Ron DeSantis was playing politics and that it was very dangerous to do. She didn't say straight out that Ron DeSantis ignored her call, but she insinuated, right? You know how politicians give these non-answers? They are saying something without saying something because they don't want to be pinned down as to be lying on anything. So they want to give you an answer that insinuates one thing, but that gives them enough plausible deniability to where if they are, pinned down on it and it is found false in the future, that they can say, well, I didn't really say it that way. If you interpret it this way, this is what I actually said. That's the answer she actually gave. Then Ron DeSantis was asked about this, and he was like, listen, I didn't even know that Kamala Harris called. I've been talking to Joe Biden. Me and Joe Biden have a rapport. We're talking, we're getting through this, So she was kind of pinned down on this, and she was asked again about this. And her answer was so hilarious because she was asked, listen, Ron DeSantis says he's never gotten a call from you. So what's going on here? And she was like, well, I've talked to a lot of governors of states, both Republican and Democrat, or I've called. It's like, no, the question was, did you call Ron DeSantis? Not did you call all of these Republican governors from all of these states? That's kind of what this reminded me of, because she goes, yeah, I've owned a Glock for quite some time. What does that even mean? Quite some time. So, yeah, Kamala Harris, absolutely fantastic. Just doing a bang-up job. It's great. Let's move to Elon Musk. Another person I believe is not the most articulate speaker, but he is at least likable because he has human interactions and he seems authentic. You don't have to be articulate to be authentic, to be likable. I think Elon Musk is one of these people. He's a little bit of a rough speaker at times, but he is authentic. You can tell that he actually is saying what he believes. He's speaking from the heart. His laugh is not a cackle. Him and Tucker Carlson laughing together, though, is pretty wild. But this is Elon Musk talking about prominent billionaires being terrified of a Trump victory because the Epstein client list will come out. Listen.
I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public.
Yes.
And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Yeah. Do you think Reid Hoffman's uncomfortable?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gates.
And Gates.
Yeah.
And I only ask that because you just look at them and you're like, that's a nervous person right there. I don't know. I mean, I assume you know them. Yeah.
Yes. Reid Hoffman was my vice president of business development at PayPal.
Yeah.
20.
Reid Hoffman is also the guy that funded E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit against Donald Trump. I don't know if you guys remember that.
4 years ago.
Does he seem nervous to you?
Yeah, I mean, he's terrified of a Trump victory.
Because of the disclosure that would follow?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think he's certainly ideologically not aligned with Trump anyway, but I think he is concerned about the Epstein situation.
Oh, that's pretty wild. That is pretty wild. Reid Hoffman, Gates, all these people. There may be a reason why they're pushing so hard and calling Donald Trump a threat to democracy. Colbert saying on his show before he interviews Kamala for Trump to go F himself. It's kind of an interesting situation that we find ourselves in 2024. But I think my favorite part of this interview was when Elon Musk tells Tucker Carlson that if Donald Trump loses, he's effed. Listen.
If he loses, man, what?
You're fucked, dude. I'm fucked. If he loses, I'm fucked.
It does seem that way. You can't just be like,
Yeah, I'm like, how long do you think my prison sentence is going to be? Do you think, will I see my children? I don't know.
Because it's not like you can say, well, yeah, I maxed out to him, but, I get...
I have no plausible deniability. No, and I've been trashing Kamala nonstop.
Oh, I know.
Well, the Kamala puppet, I call it. The machine that the Kamala puppet represents.
Yeah, she's irrelevant. I mean, she's not even...
No, I made a joke, which I realized I deleted, which is like, nobody's even bothering to try to kill Kamala, because it's pointless. What do you achieve? Nothing.
No, it's totally
Just find
right.
another puppet.
Exactly.
It's no point in...
It's deep and true, though.
Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden.
It's
It would be pointless.
Totally.
So, I mean, that's such a great point. It's pointless. They'll just put another puppet up there to represent the regime. Finally, Elon Musk here, he talks about what would happen if the Democrats win. He says he believes that this will be the last election because of the sheer amount of migrants coming into the country, filling up these different swing states. He says that he believes that there will be no more swing states if the Democrats win. Very bleak picture of what the country would look like. He compares it, says it would look like something like California, which is Democrat supermajority. Listen.
I mean, my view is that if Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have. That the Democrats, the Dem machine, has been importing so many people, bringing in so many illegals, flying in with this like CBP border app thing that nobody even knew about, like secret program. That's illegal, basically. It's illegal, but there's no action by DOJ to actually to stop it from happening. They're transporting large numbers of illegals to swing states. If you look at the numbers, these are the numbers from the government website. So, like from the Democrat-administered government websites. Like, where do you get this data? From the government website that is run by Democrats. And there are triple-digit increases in illegals to all the swing states. And in some cases, it's like 700% over the last 3 years. Now, these swing state margins are, sometimes 10, 20,000 votes. So what happens if you put, hundreds of thousands of people into each swing state? When somebody is granted asylum, they are fast-tracked. They can get a green card And then 5 years after the green card, they can get citizenship and they can fully legally vote. And when they do so, they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. And sometimes I get this rebuttal of like, well, a lot of them, their social values don't align with sort of the far left sort of woke ideology.
Yeah.
I said, that's true, but that's not their top priority. Their top priority is getting their friends and family also to the United States. And the Dems also issue all these programs, these sort of handouts, essentially, that make them beholden to the Democratic Party. So they vote Dem. So my prediction is if there's another 4 years of a Dem administration, they will legalize so many illegals that are there that the next election, there won't be any swing states. And we'll be a single party country, just like California is a single party state. That's a supermajority Dem state in California.
Because of immigration?
Yes. California was fairly reliably Republican.
Bill Clinton lost California in 92 and won West Virginia.
Yes. So there was a 1986 amnesty.
Yes.
Thereafter, California trended very strongly Dem, and is at this point 65-70% Dem, something like that. It's supermajority Dem. The California legislature is more than 2/3 Democrat.
So very bleak outlook for the country should Donald Trump lose. And I think he makes a good point. And I've heard that rebuttal before about illegal immigrants. Their values don't align with the Democrats. It's like, well, it doesn't really matter, right? Because that, like Elon Musk said, that's not their number one priority. Their number one priority is getting, their family into the country, the rest of their family, their extended family into the country. And it doesn't matter if their values per se are misaligned with the Democrat. Their number one priority is getting more of their people into the country. Maybe some of them slowly start voting Republican, if they even vote at all. I don't know. But most of them, their top priority is just making sure they get more of their people into the country, right? And it's understandable. I mean, as a person, you can understand that, right? And the Democrats are leveraging this. And it's evil, but the Democrats, they don't care. The Democrats, they use evil to their advantage. But moving on really quickly, guys. Let's see. A Secret Service whistleblower told Josh Hawley, Missouri senator, that the Secret Service leadership is denying government auditors access to certain Trump events to conceal the fact that he is still not getting maximum protection. Here is Josh Hawley talking about this on Fox News. Listen.
Sean, it sounds like he's still not getting the security that he's been promised. And here's what this new whistleblower says. He says that investigators are now not allowed to come to all the Trump rallies because if they did, they would see that Trump is not getting the full presidential protective detail. He's only getting it selectively. So the allegation is Secret Service leadership is now saying to its own internal investigators, no, actually, wait, don't come to that event, come to this one over here. And they're trying to conceal the fact Trump is still not getting the full levels of protection. I don't know why they're doing this, Sean, other than that they don't want the public to know the truth. And I tell you what, I've had enough of this from Secret Service leadership. I really have. They need to level with the American people about what's going on here. They need to tell us if Trump is really getting all the security he needs. These rallies need to be safe for everybody who goes to them. And I've had enough of the prevarication, of the concealment, and the stonewalling. It's got to stop.
So it sounds like the Secret Service is kind of cherry picking what events the auditors go to, which is kind of weird because what's the point of an auditor if you get to pick which event to go or which thing, they're supposed to audit X, X, and you get to, hide their eyes from certain things that they're supposed to audit. You get to pick what they see. So what's the point of an auditor at that point if the auditor doesn't at least randomly show up to certain events or get to see everything? There is no point. That's the answer. There is no point. So a lot of questions are being raised about the Secret Service. This is no surprise. Not really a surprise to me. A lot of questions being raised in general this year. But moving on to Eric Hovde. Big news. So Eric Hovde has made up a wide gap with Senator Tammy Baldwin. And now the race is a toss-up. It's within the margin of error. So this one could seriously lean towards Eric Hufty. So let's take a look at this. This is according to a new poll. Cook Political Report. Listen.
What's going on in Wisconsin?
I think sort of Wisconsin is Wisconsining in a way. This is probably
meaning a long history of very close statewide elections.
Right. The last Senate race there in 2022 was decided by a point. Baldwin.
String of governors' races for almost 2 decades, yes. Very close.
Yeah, it is probably maybe the most closely divided state we have in the country, is close to a 50-50 state. And I think that, we have seen, this is the story in a lot of these Senate races, that you saw Republicans sort of underperforming Trump's numbers. They're sort of beginning to consolidate. And, our polling, again, as you said, showed a big jump in the poll from our last survey in August. And this mirrors both Republican and Democratic internal polling that I've seen in the state, where this is a margin of error race. And I think, as the presidential race goes, there's a good chance the Senate race could go as well.
That's why we have Jessica here in the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter, because not only do you evaluate things that everyone can see, you talk to the campaigns, and sometimes, for their own benefit, they share their internal data, which gives you a better granular sense of where races are.
Yeah, a lot of this internal data is more targeted. It can focus more in. And so, we look at the public polling too, but we do see a lot of private.
Blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Eric Hufty, though. I got to find this. I don't know if you guys seen this, but I'm very close to Wisconsin. So I see ads from Tammy Baldwin and Eric Hufty. And the ones against Tammy Baldwin, the ones against Eric Hufty are kind of funny, because they say the craziest stuff about Eric Hufty. Like, Eric Hufty wants all seniors to die. Like, stuff like that. I mean, I don't think that's an actual ad, but stuff like that. And Eric Hufty actually just came out with an ad mocking all of these over-the-top attack ads against him, because they're just kind of ridiculous, right? And he came out with his ad. The first time I saw it was when George posted it, because I don't watch TV that often, I'll be honest with you guys. But this is Eric Hufty mocking Tammy Baldwin's ads against him, and it is a perfect ad. Listen.
Meet Eric Hufty, the worst person in human history. He hates puppies, rainbows, football, and ice cream. He once said Santa should be arrested for breaking and entering. He owns a home in Transylvania because he's really a vampire and wants to suck your blood. And if he's elected to the Senate, he will make everyone wear purple and force kids to eat nothing but asparagus and Brussels sprouts. What a jerk.
Whenever I turn on the TV, I have to laugh at the latest attacks on me. But what else should you expect from a career?
Yeah, so, I mean, brilliant ad. I think that was, whoever thought up that, perfect, because that is kind of the sentiment of these Tammy Baldwin attack ads against Eric Hufty. Like, whoa, look at how bad Eric Hufty did this crazy thing. And, I mean, he's explained in some interviews some of the antics that the Democratic Party have gotten into to try to attack him over certain things. Like, they've orchestrated things in his company where they were able to file lawsuits. I don't know. It was just a lot of crazy stuff. I'm not going to get into that right now. But, of course, they are just trying to create a problem and then attack it. It's kind of like the same thing as a straw man, when you're arguing with somebody and they come up with something, they start attacking, and you're like, what are you talking about? That's not what I'm saying at all. Well, it's because it's easier to attack, and they can't attack your point. It's kind of what the Democrat Party does all the time. They come up with straw men to attack, like, say, racism, or you name it. You name it. Racism, sexism, you're anti-woman. Those are all straw men, because they can't attack the actual heart of the matter, the actual issue, because they don't have a response. All they can do is play victim, basically. All right, moving on though, really quick, guys. So we got some videos of Blackhawk helicopters allegedly destroying Hurricane Helene donation sites. And by destroying, I mean that they pass low over them and they blow supplies away. Now, like I said, I don't know. I've only seen this a couple times. I have seen a few videos like this. I don't know if it's purposeful. You can see supplies being blown away. It looks a little bit bad. I'll be honest with you. It looks a little bit bad.
Why did they do that? That helicopter just came around here and kicked up everything. Now he's out. Did they just do that on purpose?
So it seems legit. Like all these people are standing around. From what I understand, they just witnessed. I mean, you guys just saw it. They just witnessed a helicopter fly over,
Brother, I got him
blow her down, and blow stuff away.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what that is, but that's not the only one I've seen. There's been many. There's been several. I think, well, when I say several, I say 3 or 4 videos I've seen like this, where helicopters, either they're taking off, but what it appears to be is a helicopter comes over, lowers down, blows all of this stuff around. These are people who are providing relief for hurricane victims, and then they just fly off. It's odd. What's going on? What is going on? Moving on very quickly. A New York judge has lifted the order that prevented the giant Vote for Trump sign from being displayed. This is a Sticker Mule CEO. Good news for him. Listen.
Since I was a kid, the iconic Found sign in upstate New York was a symbol of American manufacturing moving to China. The Found's company completely shut down operations in 1984 when I was only 2 years old, moving everything overseas and decimating my home city. The people left little by little, and a once vibrant city became a depressed town. Throughout my life, the Found sign defined my hometown skyline. It was clearly visible from the thruway and seen by millions of people every year as they passed by or arrived to Amsterdam, New York. I never expected to own the iconic Founds building, but my own company, Sticker Mule, grew so quickly we ended up buying almost every functional manufacturing building in Amsterdam, creating nearly 1,000 manufacturing jobs thus far in the process. For the last 2 years, we debated what to do with the Found sign. Given everything happening in the world today, we decided to replace it with an equally iconic and symbolic sign that represents the return of manufacturing jobs to America and the triumph of the underdog against insurmountable adversity. No one thought we'd build a massive manufacturing.
It's such a well done sign, too.
Like, no one expected a certain individual would become president, survive multiple assassination attempts, and inspire people all around.
So, yeah, I mean, the story goes he bought this building that was abandoned. It's the Founds building where that Vote for Trump sign is. It said Founds, and he replaced it with the Vote for Trump. The mayor saw it. The mayor is anti-Trump, sued him to take it down, or at least not to light it up, one of the two. And he just won the lawsuit. So it's very good to know that every time the mayor drives anywhere, because I guess this defines the skyline of this city. What did you say? Amsterdam? He's going to see that. He's going to be triggered. Can you imagine? He's going to be, of course, you know, leftists aren't very good at managing their emotions. So, you know, he might be might be driven insane. The mayor of Amsterdam. I love it. You love to see it. You love to see it. But something you don't love to see is this right here. Non-citizens. The Democrats are up to these shenanigans. Okay, guys. We see these shenanigans all over the place. They keep popping up, and we got to hit them like whack-a-moles. but non-citizens are getting mailers telling them to vote for Kamala. Yes, listen.
An investigation by Fox 2 finds non-U.S. citizen migrant workers are being encouraged to vote in November's presidential election. Fox Files investigator Chris Hayes found this out after an employer of migrant workers alerted him.
These union mailers were just sent to non-U.S. citizen migrant workers. They say, quote, stop the steal by stopping Trump's allies, vote for Harris-Walz and pro-worker candidates. Here's 11 of the mailers addressed to non-U.S. citizens mailed to their workplace, which alerted Fox 2. The business, which specializes in landscaping, does not want to be identified. The company's manager told us their migrant worker employees who are from Mexico are all background checked and have legal H-2B visas, which allow their temporary stay here. The manager explained the migrant workers are also allowed to have union representation and that they pay dues to their union, called La Una. But the manager cannot understand why the union would send mailers to non-U.S. citizens, encouraging their vote in the presidential election. We've tried repeatedly to get an explanation from Washington, D.C.-based union La Una. 3 emails to their communications department and 3 phone calls. A 4th call also went to voicemail. We checked with Ms.
So very interesting. While that was happening, I was reading the chat. It looks like some of you guys were having some problems. Was YouTube freezing this? Was YouTube messing with this this live stream? That's weird. Anyways, well, guys, welcome. How's it going? Seems like this was a choppy live stream today. Let's see, what do we got here? Let me get this chat situated. Give me one quick second. Closed. I'll just read it right here. The real president, Donald J. Trump, abstains from all alcohol. Anyone who has used illicit drugs in the past should be ineligible for president. And Tijuana, man, you just went on a rampage today, didn't you? She is a disgusting POS. I don't talk like that, but the truth has to come out how I feel. I love your show, by the way. Hey, thank you, Tijuana. Glad you're watching. Seems like some people were having some problems. I was reading the chat. I hope those problems are fixed now. I don't know what's going on. I'm looking at my stream here, and it's saying that. It's giving me that red icon. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Maybe it's the deep state. The deep state is coming after me. No, but how are you guys doing? Hey, we got some of my fantastic members in the chat. We've got, hold on. I got to refresh this here. Make sure everything is legit here. We got Michelle. We got Michelle in the chat. Andrew is in Michigan. This is correct. I am in Michigan. Gretchen Whitmer is unfortunately my governor. And guys, I can't explain to you just how cringe Gretchen is. She's so cringe. She keeps releasing these cringe videos. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can find. She has a new one. It's like they're trying to appeal. She's trying to appeal to young voters by being like ironically cringe, but it just doesn't work because it's not ironic. It just is cringe. See if I can find it. Yeah, is this one of them?
Have Medicare cover in-home
No,
healthcare.
that's a serious one. Oh, here it is.
JB,
Gretchen.
did you know Kamala Harris is going to lower costs?
Oh, I can't. It's going to copyright strike this ad. Maybe this one.
Challenge accepted, Governor.
Here we go.
Oh, I know what it is. It's Kamala Harris's plan to give first-time homebuyers $25,000.
Jack, that's incredible.